Hello everyone, and welcome to this video lecture on mechanisms of mutual recognition, challenges for the execution of sentences between EU member states. My name is Hofmann, and I'm an assistant professor for criminal law and criminology at Maastricht University. And in the next hour, approximately, I will talk to you about a rather specific or even unusual topic within legal cooperation in the EU and even with criminal law. And this topic is sentencing, the last stage of the criminal law process and often overlooked in legal education. Now, most of you may already have heard about the European arrest warrant or the European investigation order, both popular instruments that have been in use for a while now and have produced some good results. What I will talk about is an instrument, or technically speaking, two instruments, that are very similar in their aims, but which have gained much less attention so far than the European arrest warrant, for example. This is somewhat puzzling because the instruments have a considerable impact on the criminal justice systems of the member states and hence on the lives of many people. The instruments I refer to go by the catchy names of Framework Decisions 2008-909 GHA, so-called Framework Decision on Custodial Sentences, and Framework Decision 2008-947 GHA, so-called Framework Decision on Suspended Sentences. In the following, I will focus mostly on the first Framework Decision and simply call it 909, and the other one 947. While 909 enables the transfer of a prisoner from one EU member state to another one, for example, to his country of origin, Framework Decision 947 makes the transfer of a probation decision or alternative sanction possible. Now, you may ask yourself, if these framework decisions are so important as this guy tries to tell us, why haven't I heard of them? Well, the reason for that might be that these framework decisions both apply to sentencing, hence the end phase of the criminal justice process. That means after the police have launched its investigation into a committed crime, made an arrest probably after issuing a European arrest warrant, the suspect has been imprisoned on remand, a criminal trial was conducted, the prosecution has given their closing arguments, the defense lawyer have made their speeches, the judges have rendered a well-reasoned conviction, and the former suspect has first become an accused, then a defendant, then a convict, and lastly, a prisoner. Only then, when everyone involved in this process has closed their case files, only then the framework decisions 909 or 947 become relevant. Now, long story short, very few people involved in criminal justice are very much interested in what happens to a defendant after his conviction and off he goes to prison. Most think of it as the end of the story, quite literally, case closed. So you might ask yourself, why should I then bother to deal with sentencing for the next hour? You are in front of your computer. You may already have other tabs open. The latest cute cat video is only one click away. But well, let me give you my answer, and this is very simple. While we all, of course, love cat videos, there are some good reasons why this lecture might still be interesting for you. Or to put it in a bit more appealing YouTube spirit, here are my top 3 reasons why you might want to be interested in the sentencing phase of the criminal justice process, including Framework Decisions 909 and 947. Reason number 3. Sentencing is one of the most important stages of the criminal justice system. Sentencing is such an intricate part of legal culture. If you want to understand a criminal justice system, which principles it is guided by, how punitive or lenient an entire society is, you should look at how criminals are punished. In consequence, sentencing is wildly different between different countries and even between EU member states. For example, a recent study among judges and prosecutors conducted by the European Drug Monitoring Agency found out that selling or importing of 1 kilo of heroin is punished in the Netherlands with approximately 8 months imprisonment. The same offense in Germany would lead to a conviction of 4 years and 3 months imprisonment. In short, looking at sentencing means to examine the ticking heartbeat of a criminal justice system. My reason number 2 why you should be interested in sentencing is very few other aspects of the criminal justice system are so intrusive and interfere to such an extent with human rights as sentencing does. Think of it for a moment. Society decides to put someone away for a certain amount of time, sometimes even for years. People lose their jobs, their houses, most of their social contacts. New social contacts are forced upon someone, often other criminals, murderers maybe, or rapists, and not to forget the prison guards. New jobs are provided, mostly mind-numbing, simple work. Families get torn apart, children are raised with a parent missing, sometimes under financial hardships, sometimes themselves stigmatized by being the offspring of a convict. Sentencing impacts the lives of many human beings, not only of the criminal himself, and it can be devastating. Sentencing decisions have to be made with great care. And lastly, my number one reason why, in my view, sentencing is one of the most interesting parts of the criminal justice system is the following one. If you want to understand something about the European Union, how it influences criminal law in member states, how it pushes its political agenda of harmonization or Europeanization, and which underlying policy principles guide the EU, then take a good look at sentencing and the framework decisions 909 and 947. Harmonization has been pushed by the EU in nearly all fields of the law. Criminal law has been strongly in the focus only over recent years. At the same time, the EU has come under increasing pressure. Initiatives have been met with resistance from the member states. This is especially true for the field of criminal law, since it is such a sensitive topic. Looking at sentencing will give you a clearer picture of why Europeanization in criminal law is such a sensitive and difficult endeavor, and at the same time, an important issue to solve some of the more pressing problems of our time. So, although there are, of course, a whole bunch of other reasons, these are my top 3. And I'm sure after this lecture, you will have a better understanding of what exactly I mean with this. This lecture is separated into 4 parts. In the second part, after this introduction, I will introduce you to the EU framework decisions more in detail. By using a brief case study, which will be varied throughout this lecture, I will exemplify the problems and challenges of the framework decisions. In the third part, I will talk a bit more about the critique the framework decisions have encountered and why a seemingly good idea met considerable resistance from legal scholars and human rights activists. I will also tell you a bit about empirical research in the field of law and the study we have conducted here at University of Maastricht. In the fourth part, I will talk more about the implementation of the framework decisions in the member states and the challenges that arise for legal cooperation from it. To narrow down the scope, I will focus on Germany and the Netherlands, but most of the issues I'll address are applicable to other member states as well. I will also try to put the issue of sentencing into the context of the European criminal justice area. Mutual recognition, mutual trust, Europeanization of criminal law, all these issues can be exemplified by looking at sentencing and at our 2 framework decisions. And I will draw some general conclusions. Now, while watching this video lecture, you will gain a better understanding of sentencing as an integral part of the criminal justice system and its legal cultural implications. You will gain a better understanding of the challenges our prison systems face when it comes to foreign nationals. You will get a rough idea of how cooperation in criminal matters and in legal practice works or does not work. You will understand the phenomenon of crimmigration, how it is influencing our criminal justice system, and why the difference between the law in the books and the law in practice is such an important difference. And last but not least, you will gain a better understanding of the implementation of principles like mutual trust and mutual recognition in the daily practice of the EU member states. And if this isn't enough, at the end of this video lecture, you will understand what this picture has to do with the European integration process and why it may be a pretty precise description of harmonization within EU criminal law. So stay tuned and don't click away.